Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of American art. It's really a centuries-long quest for a voice, a search for a style that could truly capture the spirit of a brand new nation.
And let's just jump right in with this powerful thought from Thomas Cole, who was a real pioneer of American landscape painting. He argued that the thing that made America special wasn't its old cities or its deep history, it didn't really have those, but its wild, untamed nature. And this one idea, it would shape American art for generations to come.
So this really gets us to the heart of our story today. How did a nation that started out just borrowing styles from Europe finally find its own unique artistic voice? It's a story about identity, really, about a country figuring out who it is, one brushstroke at a time. So let's start at the beginning. We're in the 18th century. And at this point, American artists are looking across the ocean, basically learning their craft by copying the big, grand styles of British and European art.
You can really see that influence here. English portraits, they were often super grand, very aristocratic. But American artists like John Singleton Copley, they took those techniques and did something new with them. He painted the rising American merchant class, people like Paul Revere, with this direct, almost blunt honesty that just felt completely fresh and different.
Then, after the Revolution, art gets a really important job. It wasn't just for decoration anymore. It was a tool for building a nation. Painters like John Trumbull and Charles Willson Peale were basically given the mission of creating the official visual history of the United States, painting its heroes, its founding fathers, its key moments to help create a shared identity for everyone.
Okay, let's jump forward to the 19th century, because this is where American artists start to deliberately turn away from Europe and look inward toward the one thing that was undeniably uniquely American, its vast, epic landscape.
Now this is so crucial to understand. The Hudson River School was America's very first homegrown art movement. And they weren't just painting pretty pictures of mountains. They were painting an idea. The idea that this huge, majestic, untamed wilderness was a direct reflection of the nation's own limitless future, its potential, maybe even its divine destiny.
And this art, it had very real-world consequences. Artists like Albert Bierstadt created these enormous, absolutely breathtaking panoramas of the West. When these paintings were shown in big cities back east, they weren't just art, they were like advertisements. They helped create this powerful, romantic myth of the American frontier and encouraged people to head west.
What's so fascinating to see on this timeline is how the whole mood of American art shifts. You go from the huge, dramatic, almost over-the-top landscapes of the Hudson River School to the quiet, glowing, spiritual light of Luminism. And then, tonalism comes in and makes everything even more moody and atmospheric, before American Impressionism arrives, bringing European techniques to paint modern American life.
All right, buckle up, because the turn of the 20th century is an explosion of change. You've got industrialization, huge cities popping up, massive immigration. America was changing at a dizzying speed, and its art just shattered into a ton of new directions to try and make sense of it all.
And right away, you get these two totally opposite visions of America popping up at the same time. On one hand, you had the Ashcan School artists, painting the raw, gritty, energetic reality of life in New York City. And on the other hand, you had the American regionalists, who basically turned their backs on the city to celebrate the stoic, hardworking, and kind of idealized life of the rural heartland.
This quote from Grant Wood just nails that regionalist feeling. His painting, American Gothic, became an instant icon and one that's been endlessly debated ever since. It really captured this vision of rural American strength and grit, especially during the Great Depression.
And this just shows you what a creative free-for-all it was. I mean, you have the massively influential Harlem Renaissance, which was all about celebrating a new African-American identity. You have social realists showing the harsh realities of the Depression. And after a big art show in 1913, you get modernists like Georgia O'Keeffe starting to experiment with abstraction. It was just a wild time.
Okay, so now we're after World War II. Europe is devastated, and a huge vacuum opens up in the art world. And right there, waiting to fill it, is New York City.
This was the moment. I mean, this was it. Abstract Expressionism was the very first American art movement to become a dominant global force. For the first time ever, the art world wasn't looking to Paris to see what was next. Everyone was looking to New York.
You had artists like Jackson Pollock with his incredible drip paintings, and Willem de Kooning with his aggressive brushwork, and Mark Rothko with his huge, immersive fields of color. They created this bold, confident, totally new kind of art.
It wasn't about painting a picture of something, it was about the act of painting itself, being a raw expression of the artist's inner world.
And this simple statement, well, it says everything. It marks this massive, definitive shift. It cemented America's cultural influence for decades and completely changed the path of art history forever.
And you can still feel that cultural gravity today. I mean, 6 million people a year visit just the top U.S. museums. People fly from all over the planet to stand in front of these very masterworks.
But the story doesn't stop there. Of course not. The next generation comes along, and they react against everything that just happened. After all that deep, emotional, abstract art, a new group of artists turned their eyes away from their inner selves and looked outward, at the loud, messy, commercial world that was all around them.
Pop art was just a total shock to the system. Instead of searching their souls for deep emotions, artists like Andy Warhol and Roy Lichtenstein looked to soup cans, comic strips, and celebrity photos. They actually embraced the world of popular culture as their main subject.
And this chart just lays out that dramatic shift perfectly. In just about a decade, what serious art was about swung from the artist's deep, private inner world to the shared public outer world of mass culture. The canvas went from being an arena for personal action to being a mirror reflecting society.
After pop art, the whole idea of a single American style just completely shatters. What came next was a creative explosion. You had the cool, sleek simplicity of minimalism, the brainy puzzles of conceptual art. You even had artists who left the museum entirely to create massive sculptures out of the earth itself. There was no longer one main voice, but a ton of different ideas, all competing in a more and more global art world.
And that brings us to our final thoughts. After this long journey from copying Europe to leading the world, that quest for a single American voice has turned into a chorus of countless voices from all over, which leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. In a world this interconnected, what does American art even mean today?